Hello, everyone out there on the internet. My name is Frank Lavinia, and you can catch me at the following URLs: franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. You may have read the subject of the of this video post wherever you're watching it. If you're watching it live, yesterday I did something I haven't done since 1999. Get your mind out of the gutter. Also, it's not program COBOL. Um, I got a new Macintosh. Um, the reasons for this are many. I've heard so many good things. Yeah, I see your comment. I'm gonna let that go. um, I've heard so many good things about the M series chips. So this is actually an M2 MacBook Pro, 2022. And it's got the little touch bar. Let's see if I can open it up. Um, it's got the little touch bar up top, which at first, I didn't think I'd like, but I kind of like it. For a little bit more, there was another model with a bigger hard drive, but I figured I'd try out um, the touch bar, and I really kind of like it. Um, I have to say, I am impressed with the battery life on this thing. I haven't had it plugged in now for quite some time, and I am still um, at 81%. And I've been using it pretty good. I set up my work email on it, and I set up just logged in with the SSO. Everything in Red Hat is G Suite. But I did install my own personal Office tenant on there, software from that. And I also put in Adobe Creative Cloud. Haven't really ran much of Creative Cloud on it just yet, but I am suitably impressed with this thing. I mean, the battery life, it's very performant. I did a couple of rendering tests in Apple Motion, and it it rendered it right away. Now, for comparison, over there, I have a 2010 or 2011 era iMac, which is I think that's an i5 based, but it's a 12-year-old computer, 10 or 11, 12-year-old computer. So it's not really a fair one-to-one comparison. However, I am suitably impressed with the battery life. Battery life alone is awesome. The only way they can make this thing better is if they made it a touchscreen. And I can't for the life of me figure out why they're not touchscreens by now. It's not like Apple doesn't have enormous experience with the iPad in creating touch interfaces. It just boggles the mind that they don't have that. And obviously, coming from kind of a tablet PC and Windows world where I wouldn't say touchscreens are the norm, but they're very common. This laptop here is not a touchscreen, and that always messes me up. My personal machine here, it is. I still don't have any stickers on the Mac yet. Um, I'm really digging it, and the performance it is incredible. So the next question is, you're probably asking Frank, why are you getting a Mac now? Well, I used to be a Mac aficionado. Is that how you say it? Aficionado? Used to be back in the 90s. In fact, the last Mac I bought would have been about 1998, 1999, when it was a Macintosh clone, and it was on a fire sale because Steve Jobs had come back to the company and he was ending the program, which in retrospect is probably a good thing. Um, it's too soon to say. There are just some things about the interface I'm just not used to. I do like having an actual command prompt in there that is, Bash shell. I'm assuming it's a Bash shell. Yeah, I know I can use Windows subsystem for Linux, but it's not quite the same. I do like the fact that the App Store now, just news to me. You could download things with it, install applications. I am really digging The feel of the keyboard. They did a really good job with that. I'm a bit of a keyboard snob, and I've had Lenovo devices for Lenovo or Surface Books for the better part of a decade now. So I'm kind of used to that layout. The keyboard is small, but it doesn't feel small. I don't know how else to describe it. Um, is it going to be my daily driver? Who knows? I mean, maybe. Um, I'm really impressed. I can't overstate this. I'm really impressed with the battery life on this thing. I charged it once, and with a short stint on my docking station here, it has been completely without power most of the day, and I'm about 88%. I just installed Visual Studio Code. I think I mentioned Office and Creative Cloud. I'm really looking forward to see how Photoshop runs on this, or After Effects runs on this. I have some high hopes for that. It does only have 8 gigs of RAM, so it's probably not going to be crazy performant. But Apple Motion, I mean, it kicked out a video clip. Now, in fairness, I compared it against a 10-year-old machine over there, so it may not be a fair one-to-one comparison, but I do like it. And I'm going to stick with Adobe Suite, but I'm going to look around at Final Cut and iMovie and stuff like that just to see what creative options I have there. But I am impressed. So the next thing is, you're probably wondering, like, Frank, after so many years in the world of Windows, why are you just now, getting into the world of Macintosh, or more to the point, getting back into the world of Macintosh? Um, it's no secret that I'm not particularly thrilled with some of the decisions that were made with Windows 11. Right, I did a whole video series on how I was giving up Windows for Lent when I was waiting for this thing to get repaired, um, and I had just naively assumed I would plug in a USB stick and I can use Windows to go. Apparently, that's no longer the case. So I used a USB stick, plugged a USB stick in, booted off of that. I ran multiple distros of Linux. I ran Fedora, I ran Mint, and I ran Ubuntu, and I think I even played around with Kali for a bit. Um, One of the things that always kept me away from doing more experimentation with Linux was I was afraid of the driver situation. Would the drivers work the way I want them to? And oddly enough, that really wasn't a problem. The only problem was actually this docking station that I'm on right now. That was the only thing that didn't really work quite right, which is pretty interesting because thus far that is the only problem I've had in terms of compatibility with this MacBook here, which makes me wonder, like, is this some kind of weird Lenovo type system? I don't know. If you have any insight on that, I do have another docking station. I'm going to check it out. It's an older docking station. We'll see how that goes. And hey, Victoria, you love Macintosh. Good. Then I will be asking you plenty of questions. It's pretty funny. So Victoria is awesome, by the way. She's a colleague in South America. Um, I really like it. Like, I used to be, I don't know if you were on the stream earlier, but I used to really be a big Mac fan. Like, my user handle was Daddy Mac, right? Going back to when I was in college, the Mac Dad and the Daddy Mac. Long story. Um, Hello, how are you doing? That's awesome. Um, so we have actually a pretty cool announcement, Victoria and I, soon, real soon, not today, but real soon. Maybe I'll get you on the stream, Victoria, and we can do a live stream together talking about this, because I think that would be awesome. But the short of it is, I really like this device. I mean, I didn't think I would like the touch bar. I do. In fact, the only bit of feedback I have to Apple, right? If Apple for some reason is listening, for the love of everything holy, add a touchscreen. If this had a touchscreen, I would seriously be considering replacing all my Windows laptops, because it's just, what's driven this was kind of my aversion to Windows 11. Windows 11 has some really onerous hardware requirements that I feel are rather arbitrary. And yeah, I know I could join the insider ring and there's ways around that, but my wife also got a computer recently, and it came with Windows 11. And honest to God, the first 10 minutes, she's like, "Can you put Windows 10 on this?" No disrespect to anyone on that team. I know Windows is, they say, massive product, but there are decisions that were made that make me just scratch my chin and wonder. Like, I was involved with the launch of Windows 8, and it's almost like they've forgotten all the lessons they've learned with Windows 8. Don't change things too radically, too fast, or if you must, make it opt-in. They completely rewrote the taskbar, which good on them, but who signed off on that, right? Who signed off on completely rewriting that? Because there's just functionality, and I've seen this on official posts and things like that. Who signed off on that? Like, really? Like, or is it just the fact that they know that every other Windows version is going to not get the same uptake? Enterprise uptake cycles are what they are. Maybe they just know they can be experimental with every other release. Um, and some of those experiments work out well, and some of them, not so well. So for me, what was really the driver, if they had done the 10-year, kind of cycle of support, and now maybe this has changed. I hope to God this has changed. But if it hasn't changed, they're basically saying that Windows 10 came out in 2014, and they're saying that the 10-year lifespan of that product will end in 2024, which I feel is kind of ridiculous because there were always different editions that were based. There was like H1 2022, or maybe it was last year, but there was always editions based on the calendar. It was like a rolling update, or the same product but just update. So for them to say that they're going to cut off support for Windows 10 was very alarming, and that's the thing that really got me, like, you know, um, because I don't know how long it'll take for them to fix Windows 11 to my satisfaction. Like it matters. Like, yeah, I'm the king of the world. Um, but I know I'm not the only one. I can't be the only one. I don't know what the uptake numbers are, but for Windows 11, but I can't imagine it's been as well received as 10 or Windows 7. Probably not as widely unpopular as 8 was, but I'm guessing that it is. And I've been itching to buy a Mac for a while because of Apple Motion. There's some templates and some video effects you can do with that are not available in After Effects. Although with the rise of something called MoGerts, or motion graphics templates, that gap is shrinking. But I had already bought it. That was the nice thing. I'd bought it for this Mac over here, the 10-year-old Mac, and I was able to install it here, and I got the latest version. And I did a quick test render, and it was quick. It was quick. In fact, the only complaint I have is that it outputted it to a QuickTime file format, which is not the end of the world. But MP4 is, video formats being what they are, it's kind of weird, but it's not a big deal. But if I had to find one little nitpick, and that's been my experience with the Mac, and all of 20 hours with it, is that it is not perfect, but it's pretty close. And I have to give them hats off to that. I do like the fact that I was actually testing it. I can remote from my PC into the Mac. I can remote from the Mac into the PC. So ultimately, if there's something I need on a computer down here, and I happen to have this somewhere else in the house, I can connect to it. So I am very impressed. I like it way more than I thought I would. Um, and the power bar, not the power bar, but the touch bar is awesome. Why not extend that to the entire screen? Who knows? I can't think of a reason. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments, either live or on the replay. Like, why haven't they adopted touch? Is this a product differentiation thing that the iPads and the iPhones are touch devices and these are not? I can't imagine. Touch has added so much value to a laptop that I have one Lenovo with it and one without it, and that the one without it kind of annoys me because I just can't touch the screen. Like, it just you know uh, I find it kind of annoying. But in any case, with the exception of this docking station not working, I haven't tried the other one because we had a leak recently, so I had to dismantle it. But I mean, with the exception of that, everything works awesome. There was a nice little video tutorial that I did, took on Pluralsight, on kind of differences in how to use the Mac, kind of basics, and setting it up. So what I really like is there's gestures on the trackpad. And I didn't think I would like it. I was going to set it up that, there'd be like a right click thing, but no, I really like this. And again, so far, the one thing that doesn't work is the docking station. Like I can get 2 monitors working, not 3. Again, not the end of the world. But I mean, uh, it's a little early to say, will this be my daily driver? But it probably will be my daily driver. And, a lot of this was kind of a follow up to my experiment earlier this year when I said, can I give up Windows for Lent? Where I installed various flavors of Linux across all my machines. Um, Everything worked, except the only thing that didn't work was the Adobe suite. And my plan going forward, if things don't get better in Windows land, um, right now I can feel like the laser pointers like at me, like the SWAT team is going to come. But the only thing that I can see, if it doesn't improve to the way I want it to improve, if Windows 12 or whatever they're going to call it doesn't address my kind of core concerns, um, all my existing x86 boxes can go to any flavor of Linux. Um, Most of the monitors were supported. I haven't tried it on the 6 monitor rig, but actually, some scratch that I did, and it all worked. The some things were wonky about that, and so my plan is that for everything that's not Adobe, right? Because you can use either G Suite or I'm a big Office fan, right? Um, you can install Office. You can use Office in the browser on Linux, or you can use it on the Mac. So kind of like for the commercial applications and anything that can't be done through browser or command line, the Mac would be a good option for that. So as it runs Office, it runs um, don't tell me, Adobe Creative Cloud. So all the things that Linux didn't do out of the box, the Mac will do. And so far, it's been pretty interesting. So I like it. Hey, Andy, how's it going? Yeah, it really is working. I mean, it hasn't been 24 hours yet, but I am happier than I expected to be. And they're not as expensive as you would think. For a while I was contemplating getting a Mac Mini, but I love this laptop. And I love this laptop. Um, and so I name all my laptops after ships in the Expanse. This is the Rocinante, and this is the Razorback. And if you watch the show, there's a whole thing about that. But I love this laptop. I will use this laptop to the day it dies. However, there's already been some well-known issues with this model, which I think is a very similar model what you have, Andy. That the soldering jobs on some of them are not as good as they should be. In fact, the hard drive died on it when the hard drive was perfectly fine. Fortunately, there was another port in there I could use um, to plug in a very particular type of SSD. Um, it was an NME. I think it was NME drive, really tiny. So fortunately, I was able to fix that. But when I was out getting the tires fixed, I was out at and I had it with me, and not weeping somnambulist. That's next. That is next. That is going to be the next device. Weeping somnambulist. Um, no, this looks like a Razorback though. It just looks like the Razorback kind of. And I will tell you, it's fast too. The interesting thing, um, I picked this up. If I pick this up in a certain part of the chassis, the whole thing will blue screen, right? And that was the same problem I had when it would just randomly blue screen because the bad solder drive on the hard drive. So if it happened twice in rapid succession, and knock on wood, it has not happened since. But I do know if I hold it or pick it up and move it around from a certain place, it will fail. It will do that, which tells me that there's another solder joint that Lenovo botched on this particular model, which is a shame because it's an awesome laptop. There are things now. I'm not completely bagging on the Macintosh, right? I'm not completely making fun of it, right? I mean, I can't talk. on the Windows device, right? There are things with the Windows device that I wish this would do, right? First off, Windows Hello, right? The facial recognition, I can log in. I know some people like that, some people don't like it. I'm personally a fan, right? I like that. That has that. The touchscreen, hands down. If this thing had a touchscreen, that's really the way it could be better. And if it had the facial recognition, that would be awesome. See, it does look like a Razorback. See, it's fast. It's fast. It's small, and I'm pretty happy with it. So the next thing I'm going to try another docking station because obviously I cannot live with just one monitor on a device. But supposedly, I was digging through the settings. Supposedly, there's a way you can treat iPads like secondary monitors. So I'm going to play around with that next. But um, it's just interesting. I've been out of the Macintosh ecosystem for so long. Yeah, I know. A few years ago, I dipped my toe back in the water with buying the old iMac, but it is a fascinating for a Windows guy like me to kind of be back in that space. And I see Victoria loves the Macintosh. Everybody loves the Macintosh, right? And they're not cheaper, right? So why do people love the Macintosh? Part of it is a style thing, right? They are cool looking machines that you're in the Apple ecosystem. Um, as for me, I lived the past 20 some odd years. Fun fact, the reason why I switched to PCs was because the Mac clone that I had did not have, well, first off, it had issues with the hard disk driver, right? It would just randomly fail on me, which was extremely annoying. The other thing was it didn't have a power switch in the back when I moved to Germany to go to the 220-volt power. So I had to leave it home. And at the time, e-machines had just come out and they had the $600 PC, which was just phenomenal at the time. So I'm like, rather than buy an expensive Mac every 3 to 4 years or 5 years, I think as the case may be, let's say 3 to 4 years, I could just get a new e-machines every 12 months or, it ended up being every 2 years. But still, I had a faster machine. I had a spare machine that I could run, as a Windows server or whatever. So I ended up having this whole fleet of things. Now, I mean, that did create, I guess, suppose it did create a lot more e-waste, but I was able to kind of not just throw those out. I was able to donate them or give them to family members who were looking for computers. So it was, it's a different economic model, but it is nice having the M2 chip because that thing is fast. And as far as I know, it's the most recent thing. And so I'm enjoying it. I'm going to go play with the Mac a bit and hope you're having a great day. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Victoria, for tuning in. And Victoria, we should get in touch with me on internal company chat. We should have you on the stream too. Maybe we can announce after, kind of this thing we're working on because I think that would be cool. And with that, I'm going to end the stream and say thank you very much and have a fantastic day.